All right. This is Christ in Culture, and I'm your host, Rory Van Wyk. And we got Eastside Taylor on board. Woo! And last week we had Matt Connor.
Bro.
Mike Connor. That sounds like
Connor.
That sounds like
It sounds like an action
the
star.
Terminator's like real name. But anyways,
The Terminator had a real name? Wait.
I don't know.
He probably did.
He probably did.
They probably assigned him an undercover. Mike Connor.
in his past life, he was Mike Connor.
I think, well, wait a minute. Wasn't the kid's name Connor?
Something like that. Maybe that's where it's coming from.
Connor. Yeah.
Gosh.
I think so.
All right. Your homework today or tonight is to watch The Terminator.
Start with number two. And just go backwards.
Right.
Go 2, 1, and then
Yeah.
the other ones that I didn't watch.
Exactly. I know. There's like newer ones, but Terminator Salvation. Anyways, we are glad to be on here. Thanks for tuning in. And we are about to approach Holy Week. And this week or weekend is Palm Sunday.
Sunday. Rory's teaching.
Oh, God. They'll hear this later, right?
Yeah.
Able to teach this week.
Well,
and
maybe I'll get it out today.
wow. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you can.
I actually
I'm
have
not
to help
tripping.
my wife with her podcast today.
Okay.
So.
She has a podcast.
She did
Okay.
for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But
cool. I remember. I thought you
she
saying
can't
something.
put it out until she records the one today.
Okay.
Because she's going to do a podcast with her, her big boss.
Okay.
I don't remember what his title is. He's El Presidente
Yeah.
of CTSI.
I hope
which
that's
is
what they
not
call
the
him.
tribe. No, it's not. That's why I made it up, and it was ridiculous because I don't want to mess up and make it sound like I actually know what the title is. And
Right.
I'm just making things up.
Oh yeah. It's so fun to make things up though.
It is fun as long as it's clear that I'm making it up.
Yes,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I
You're
don't
like,
wanna
I don't think you
mislead
should be
anybody.
a good liar. That's
Right.
not the goal here.
But she did 2 other interviews, and then I'm just going to help her a little bit with learning how to edit.
Cool, man. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know Emma Larson, if you're listening, she asked me for pointers, and it would be cool to maybe even have her on the show one day. But she and her friend are trying to start a podcast, and her and her husband own a business. Anyway, she's very helpful at the church. But it's like, and I just told
her
her like,
podcast
we're not.
Does she have good content?
She hasn't started it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like we're not masterminds. We've we've jumped on this and we have fun, and it's
Fun is
it's
the
not
more important part.
exactly. It's not scripted. We're just real, or try to be real.
Be real.
Be real. But yeah. Anyways, it's good to be here. We have this significant weekend, Palm Sunday, and I think it's not just as important, but it's like there's so much there, where it's like, okay, Jesus did want everyone's eyes on him, and it's like, like what do we have to offer, and it's like I love, just that imagery of like, hey, laying down palm branches, laying down cloaks, it's like, and Jesus, with Jesus and following Jesus, there is a cost, and so anyways, man, go to church this Sunday. If it's at our church, at South Beach Church, if it's
Rory's gonna ride in on a donkey.
I would if we had a donkey.
You would. If I could find somebody with a donkey.
Yeah.
That
No, I wouldn't because that's
you wouldn't.
no, dude.
Come on, it'd be-
That's like when you see churches like where the pastor
it'd
has
be
like
so fun.
come from the ceiling and like
Would you do it for youth group though?
as
I
a
feel
joke?
like-
As a joke,
Yeah,
I would.
no, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah,
It's clearly going to be a joke.
somebody
I
would
think
take
on
it seriously.
some level, it is. Jesus did it on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, it's,
As it was not a joke.
right, but it was just
But
like
it was like,
humble.
throw this in your face.
Yeah.
That like, it's not, I'm not coming in as the king
Yeah,
in huge regal splendor.
exactly.
right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something we, miss is, and we could really hit this, but just like, man, God wants to be worshiped, right? Like he wants our attention. He
True
wants
that.
our lives.
Right.
But it's like, man, at the same time, he's humble. He's down to meet us where we are, and I don't know about you, but
It's a good thing.
yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be in trouble.
Oh yeah. Exactly. But we have some articles today, and it's good to be back. It's hard nowadays for Isai and I to be consistent on here each week. We have stuff coming up. Stuff pops up.
Yeah.
Write that one down.
I think that when we're getting more settled in the new church, I think it's going to get easier.
Right.
I hope. It's changed everything.
Yeah.
So I'm still figuring out my schedule to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not completely, all systems are not where I would like them to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably true of everybody.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You're just trying to figure things out and like negotiate and figure out who, we're just trying not to cause offense.
Yeah.
And like what we got to do to share this space.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like
what he's
sharing a
talking about,
house.
if some of you like don't remember or don't know what he's talking about, like we're sharing a church building.
Yeah.
And when we say we're sharing, they're sharing with us.
Yeah. They're being super generous.
Oh man.
Like,
And
it's amazing.
I would say they're humble, like the pastor, the assistant pastor, the whole squad. They could be weird in a sense.
We could totally they could get super weird.
Yeah. And I applaud them, Newport Foursquare and but it's hard to like, we have freedom, but it's like we also have to.
We have more responsibilities.
Yeah.
We have more people to care for.
Right.
And more people that have concern and ownership.
Yeah.
They have ownership.
Yeah. Right.
And like we were not used to sharing ownership.
Oh man.
Like so we're like
it was like the Wild West at the warehouse.
Yeah. You're like, hey, you seize it. He who sees it ought to seize it.
Yeah.
It was like the order of the day.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's not the order of the day right now.
Yeah.
Like it's like think about who is a plank owner on this.
Yeah.
And who that we need to consult with.
Yeah.
And we still got to innovate and generate ideas and like fix things and do all that stuff. But it has to be, the methodology has to be different. A little more careful.
Well, it's shaping us up. It's like we just got married.
Yeah. That's a great metaphor.
Where it's like,
it's a great metaphor. You're like, you
can have freedom, but it's like, how liberal are you going to be with your freedom?
I should probably just do the dishes immediately.
Yeah, dude, like, you're learning.
Before I would just hey, I'm going to do the soak thing. I'm just going to soak these until tomorrow.
Exactly.
And then like, that's probably not okay. You can't just let my clothes pile out. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal.
Right.
Nobody's coming in here. You're like, oh, well, now there is.
Yeah.
And she's
This isn't
know
just having a roommate.
You suck.
This isn't having a
You're a
roommate
slob.
in college. Like you're married.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's a good thing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And
Praise the
it's a
Lord.
blessing to be married.
It's going to make us stronger.
Yeah.
It makes us better people.
Exactly.
Like, better servants.
Yeah. No, I mean, all around, I think, we could just nitpick and be critical and negative, and they could too. And it's just a blessing. I mean, overall,
we're growing,
and it's like structure, tightening up things. It's uncomfortable at times, but it's like, hey, like you're saying, we're growing, Speaking of growth, and just even with this time, I think of like, we have to protect the time. Block this time out of the week, but stuff happens, right? But there's some areas that's like of our lives and, just even in ministry, having a family, it's like you have to protect your family. You have to protect your peace. You have to protect your heart. And I don't want to make it, super, spiritual, but it's like just the story stuck out to me because this governor in Tennessee, right, is protecting the musicians and the other artists, right? And so Tennessee just became the first state to protect musicians and other artists against AI. And it's pretty cool. It's like funny. You're like, what? Like, how is that important? But it's huge. It's huge.
It's important to a lot of people.
Exactly. In Tennessee, I mean, they have Nashville, which is huge on country.
Right.
But it's, it's important, And so
I like that they went with the Elvis Act. They call it the Ensuring Likeness, Voice, and Image Security Act, which is great because like Elvis is from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have the is it Graceland? Am I saying that wrong?
Graceland.
Okay. It's the Graceland Museum and all that great stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So you got reach back to that whole history. I think it's awesome. In that sense, I wonder about the effectiveness. I like that the cool thing is that everybody got on board and was like, yeah, this isn't cool. There are things happening that I think some things like people should just have broad shoulders and not worry about it. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And I also think that like, this is probably not going to be the most effective thing.
Yeah.
Just realistically.
Right.
But we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that they're doing something is like, that's great.
Yeah.
But like, I think at the end of the day, we're going to make some dumb like steps.
Yeah.
And this might be one of the dumb steps, but it's also probably a necessary step. Like, I don't know. What I'm saying is like, I don't think
I'm like big
the
sigh.
first take on something on technology is usually a bad take. The first like 3 takes on something are usually like, oh, well, we really thought that this is what it was going to be, but it kind of isn't.
Yeah. I mean, I
just
can see
wonder
that.
if that's what we're doing right now, and
Yeah.
kind of make the fact that everybody's on board with it too, like, is cool
Yeah.
and awesome. And I actually appreciate that in this time of disunity. We have so much disunity.
Right.
And the fact that it was so bipartisan, like, I think nobody voted against it.
Yeah.
Which, with something like this, it's probably okay, but maybe it's not.
Right.
Because I think about like the Patriot Act, everybody signed on to that one. And that was not, except for Ron Wyden, props to him.
Yeah.
And like one other senator did not sign the Patriot Act. And it was a bad move, but it made sense at the time.
Right.
I get going back to like what was going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings, and
No,
I'm
I think
waiting
it's
and
good.
seeing. I'm not committing to like having a like strong opinion about it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man.
Well,
I
I'm
just
in-
question it.
Yeah. And
Like-
I think it is good. I think it's good to question its like power behind it. And it's like, is this going to be
Right.
effective?
Is this actually going to do bad things? Right. And I don't even know. I don't know how the law actually, they don't post the actual law. Oh, right.
It's not funny.
They're like,
you can get pulled over
hey,
and
this
you're guilty for 4 accounts. And you're like, what?
yeah, like they just tell you, oh yeah, this is this act. And you're
Yeah.
like, and this act doesn't actually reflect what they actually say.
Yeah.
Like the title of the act doesn't mean anything. It
Yeah.
doesn't actually go in. You don't ever see the title of the act like go into code.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
no.
We
Yeah, I mean,
added it to the book though. It's like, what?
It's
what?
not in the book though.
I know.
Right? Because I'm not like I used to be a law clerk and I read ORSs, and you've never seen any of the act titles, and like you do
crazy.
research those at times to like if it comes to a point in law where you're considering legislative intent is the terminology they use.
Yeah.
And I'm rusty on this. This is well over a decade
There's
ago
grace.
before I did any of this stuff. So if I'm talking out of the side of my mouth, I just ask for forgiveness and grace. But yeah,
Can we commit to that?
probably not. That's all right. I'll take the abuse. I'll have the big shoulders, and it'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it almost never comes up, right? Yeah, your case law and precedent and all that stuff is like way before you consider legislative intent.
Well, it's like that should be unlawful. You know, like where they don't get like, give us an email, like
Yeah.
just like I just think,
And
it's
it's
like when something comes out, a new rule, like it's every year with the NFL, for instance, and it's like, we all know it, at least like in a few weeks or a month.
They communicate it all day long when
Yeah.
they changed like pass interference, which has been changed more than
Yeah.
anything.
And
It's so confusing. If you take a couple years off of football and you come in and you think you're going to call what pass interference is, you're wrong.
Right.
You're guaranteed wrong.
Well, and it's
And
like, I just don't get it where, okay, how are we to be effective as citizens when we don't know the laws? And, it's like, when did they get passed?
too
How did
many.
they get passed?
There's like huge, like this space here, if you lined all the shelves, is not enough. Like if you put shelves everywhere, like you cannot fit all the US code
That's
in
so
here.
wild.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could if like you just like forego walking space. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
The ORSs is a lot less, but it's a ton of books.
Yeah.
And then when they have the Oregon Revised Statutes, and then you also have, I forget what there's a whole nother set of books, right? Which is Oregon Administrative Rules, right? And those are written in response. Basically, they're like, they interpret the ORSs.
Okay.
Right. And they're written by like people in agencies.
Yeah.
Right. Not elected officials. Right. And there's something, a federal equivalent, but I'm like forgetting the name because like I was basically just worked in Oregon law.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not federal stuff too much. But you would interpret stuff. They would interpret stuff.
Yeah.
And then they make their own. They effectively have the ability to legislate. Right. Nice. Which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
And like, we're kind of like addressing that a little bit right now, but we made it into something really weird. Like it's been framed as something very bizarre. And like, you'll hear conversations about the deep state and whatever.
Right.
Right. And like, it sounds like a secret cabal thing. And I'm like, really, it's just a bunch of people that are like interpreting the law, and they have the effect of writing the law in a way, right? Like there's only so much wiggle room, but it's kind of like the Bible in the sense that like, if you don't have a really good solid framework of what the Bible is, then like people can do a lot with it.
Right.
Especially when they're talking to people that don't know what's in there. Right. So you can like,
so true.
You can write your own whatever.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like ignoring other parts.
Oh yeah.
Right. You're just like, oh yeah, well, don't take this in context. Then
and there's context, but then there's also a full picture, a well-rounded picture where, if you just look, one book, one chapter in a book,
Sure.
it's like, or just the Old Testament, just the New Testament. It's like, you need the entire Bible. And, I just think, man, that's
can
scary.
justify almost any kind of doctrine you want to if you like pick and choose the right stuff.
And you can be a radical group, or you can be a very liberal group. I think of Rastafarians. They've used the scriptures to push their agenda. It's like they've taken out of context. You have the Nazis. You have, there's so many different groups.
And then
throughout the
like
years.
people that like will just say that if the Bible doesn't have ultimate authority, right, but they're still like, it's a book of wisdom. And
right.
Like, that's a whole nother like level of the onion of like weird interpretations.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say it that way, and I don't know why I felt like I was like, I'm not trying to cause offense.
No, well,
okay, but at the same time, like you got to call out certain things. Like if you want to say that Bible isn't authoritative, then like then why?
Right.
Why
exactly.
why are we reading it then?
Exactly.
Like,
well, I always think too, it's not just a book that God was like, I really like that one.
What else do you have? You're just like, oh well, I felt the vibes in my heart. I like listen. I don't know, man. I get. I'm trying to get spun up right now.
No, but it's like, easy to look at it as just a book. That it's not God's word, God breathed, given by inspiration to God. It's like, it is powerful.
If you devalue the word, then you're gonna go down a path of darkness, guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like guaranteed. It starts as like one thing, and it always like it's the path of good intentions thing. Right. You're like, oh, we're gonna disregard this because like some like well-intentioned thing, and you're considering people, right? And it just leads to chaos and death. Often.
Right. Well, I think even
sin.
Right.
And
I was going to say sin.
Was it Josiah that ripped his shirt and he realized he never actually read the word?
I think so.
Had the word read to him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
The young king, and he's like, "What?
Right.
This is what the word says."
Yeah.
And the scripture says, and he just like wept and like ripped his clothes, and he was like tore down all the idols. He's like,
right.
He just was going on like, like cultural like norms that had changed over time, and like nobody was reading.
Well, look at the Ethiopian eunuch, who didn't understand what it was saying.
Hey, it's like,
and then what happened? He was translated or inspired through Philip, like, hey,
what?
This was Jesus, dude. 700 years before he was even born, and then what was his response? He's like, dude, let me get baptized right now.
Let's do it.
And I see in the book of Revelation, the beginning where it says, like, man, if you add any words or take away, like there's a curse, right?
Sure.
It's sin. And I just think the context isn't just in Revelation. Like, oh, the other.
Don't forget though, the Revelation starts with a blessing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. But I just think like that's the whole word. You can't add or take away. And, and I don't think it's like, oh, when you forget to like think about other scriptures, but it's like, man, when you're purposely, that's your heart and mindset, is taking away and adding, but really, just the story, it's cool. I mean, there's some good there, but ultimately it's
it's something it works out.
Yeah, well, and with the arts, I think we should value the arts and in this world and how we are able to express ourselves. I love musical art. I love visual arts. But at the same time, how effective is this going to be? I think it is cool though. I think it is because what do? We kind of like leave this kind of stuff out. But man, this is where we can express ourselves. It's emotions when, music's huge for all of us to a degree, and it heightens our senses like we talked about last week. I mean, it's just like, it's something that is monumental in our lives. And I think we should protect music and artists, but at the same time, okay, is it going to be, effective?
I don't know. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm going to kick off because I had a transition, but like it didn't really work for me.
You're good.
In my head, it ended up really corny. Appreciate that. So, in a first genetically edited pig kidney is transplanted into human. So,
did you say pygmy?
Pig kidney.
Just kidding. I wish you would have said pygmy.
So on like March 16th, Richard Slayman of Weymouth, is that right? Weymouth, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
He got a 4-hour surgery. He got new kidney. Did they just give him one? I feel like you just get two.
Yeah. I thought he got one.
Yeah. Anyway, he had
just
type
one.
2 diabetes, high blood pressure. Obviously his kidney was failing too. And it was transplanted. And so my understanding is that the modifications they make are to like certain proteins and sugar, like every organ in the body makes like certain proteins and sugars.
See, I don't even know
that will be like, there's things that are made by all your organs. Your organs make hormones and all kinds of things, right? Basically, and again, my biology is way old. I'm doing other things nowadays, like not a student, but basically, your immune system is going to see that as an invader, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Right. And basically they deleted that.
Okay.
In a sense. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
Simplifying it.
Sounds good to me.
They deleted those obvious things to enable for the body not to see it as a foreign entity. I believe he still has to take anti-rejection stuff. And
okay.
Even if you get a human one, you got to take anti-rejection stuff.
Well, it's so trippy that, I know I've always heard, the pig's anatomy and ours are pretty much identical.
Not
identical,
similar.
But very similar. And it's
a little morbid, but if you cut the head and like the limbs off, like from the back, it looks pretty human-y.
Gosh, it's so weird, man. And I thought it was a joke when I saw this article.
Humans are a little longer.
It was just when I'm just like, that's it. For sure.
I grew up in the farm life a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's just like, it's funny, but I know it's like true.
I live in the real world. It's kind of what like that sounds like sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, you think of it, it's a little offensive. Like, oh, you're like a pig, and it's like, I mean, really?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just
They're
see,
essentially almost furless usually, unless wild pigs are not.
yeah, right.
It's very interesting the difference between there's no genetic difference between wild pigs and domesticated pigs per se,
Yeah.
right? But it's a gene expression thing, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
That like their environment changes their gene expression, and then they'll grow tusks because they're not in a domesticated environment.
Wow.
Which is just wild. I wonder.
It is.
Like, wonder how much of like the way we are is changed by whatever is around us, environmentally.
Well, and it's you know, something that we think of with, you know, mutation or evolution. It's like there's no macro evolution, right? You're not changing from one species to another, but you know, there's the finch, certain or particular finch. There's a fish, and then you even see a crab. Have you seen that where they'll actually like find plastic, and over time, like they've been able to like absorb it and like comes part of them.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and so it's like, man, we will, you know, just as species, and it's like, dude, it's God. God's
Life
behind
is very
it.
adaptive. God made it.
Yeah, and I love to see it where it's like, dude, if you moved into the wild, you would probably grow tusks. Just kidding.
I might.
But I just think like it's a survival instinct. Yeah,
for sure.
I believe you would change. Like, you know, like better beard. I don't know.
Better beard. Quite possibly. Like better skin. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just
probably feel better. Like all the time.
Feel better. Not eating. We're not eating ice cream like at night. You know,
you would only be eating organic, like non-grain, non-GMO.
Yeah.
Like
I love how
like
if they're keeping tabs, you know, like,
and you get lots of exercise because like that stuff isn't holding still for you.
Oh yeah, but I love how, you know, if they're keeping tabs, our listeners know like some of our weaknesses. Like ice cream.
Yeah, sure.
We'll leave it at that.
I've been off the ice cream. I haven't had ice cream since I actually know when.
Off the ice cream. It's like I've been off the.
I'm not
gonna name drugs right now.
I have not had ice cream since Thanksgiving.
Wow,
that's the last time.
I'm like kind of proud of you. Just kidding.
You should be proud.
I am proud of you. I am proud of you. I don't eat ice cream like I used to, but yeah, I'm proud of you because it's hard.
I've been like probably 99% compliant on my diet.
Cool, man.
Like as far as sugar.
Good job, bro.
And
seriously,
other things.
No, that's huge. Esai turned down a pastry puff this morning. Just want y'all to know that. But anyways,
I certainly do want it though. Still, it doesn't change.
Yeah. Well,
and that looks good still.
No, you're good. So.
I love people that say, "Oh yeah, after a while it's easier." I'm like, "Is it?"
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's any easier. I'm literally taking it moment to moment.
I love it, dude.
I don't feel like I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm forgetting how bad it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
That it was like so much harder. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm still struggling and it still sucks and it doesn't.
Yeah. Right. You're not stoked. Yeah.
I'm like not. I still like look at Mike and Ike's and over there in that vending machine. Good job, Noah.
Come on,
No, I think it's awesome that he's doing that. He's such a great entrepreneur kid.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't even call him a kid anymore, dude. That guy is an adult.
You can call him an adult. He's not. Or you can call him a kid. Or a teen. You can call him a teen.
He's almost, he's working jobs and like doing stuff and like,
no, it's
he's
awesome.
Motivated. He's a man.
Proud of him too.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Seriously. You know, I think we just have that natural pig instinct too, you know, where we'll just pig out. I think the bad connotations, I don't think there's any great connotations like with pigs.
You know what? The pigs, the one,
they're loyal.
They're stupid smart.
They're smart.
Why do I say stupid smart? That's so dumb. Gosh, I feel bad about myself.
Well, think about
they are really, really intelligent. Like way more intelligent than dogs. You can teach them to bark,
and some
you
people.
can teach them all kinds.
Just kidding. You can teach them to bark. That's crazy.
You can teach them to bark. They can be guard animals. They can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
but they're not as compliant as a dog.
Yeah.
But you know what also is like really smart and not a compliant animal, but is a great guard animal is donkeys. Donkeys are amazing, like guard animals. Lots of people don't know that, but you get a donkey, it's like a really good guard animal. Like they don't tolerate nonsense, and they have a natural instinct to protect.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of times that's why people had them.
Wow. That's crazy. I had a friend who had a miniature pig in Austin.
Oh yeah.
And he would have it on a leash and bring it over, and it was hilarious. But
it's so fun. My wife once went out like, dude, we're not set up for that. Well, and the teacup pigs do not rely.
Teacup, yes.
So the teacup pigs, this is the thing. They aren't reliably as small as they have a tendency. The genetics aren't like locked in. They'll be smaller than a regular pig, but they won't reliably be a 40-pound pig.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that your pig will not be 40 pounds. It'll be 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is still small.
Yeah.
But like, that's a big animal.
Oh, it is, dude.
For having in your house.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No joke. For real. Well, and they're not like agile. You know, yeah, they're strong. They're
so strong, dude.
Pig-headed.
They are pig-headed. There's a reason it's called pig-headed.
Oh, I know. Well, and here
they're not compliant.
The connotations that I think of the prodigal son, you know, eating pig food. And so it's like, okay, that's not a great thing. And then I think of the legion, right, of demons that was in that man who was running around the graveyards, and you know, Jesus cast out those demons into the pigs, and the pigs killed themselves. I can't think of any other great stories in the Bible with pigs, but pigs can be redeemed a little bit.
Sure.
What I saw here is more than 100,000 people in the U.S. are on transplant waiting lists.
Yeah.
Right, including about 90,000 who need kidneys. We have Sarah, our good friend, who's on staff, and her dad just got a kidney.
Yep.
After how long? A year and a half.
There was a couple false starts too.
Yeah. Oh,
that happens quite often.
Right. Well, in that you have. I saw that there's 2 pig transplants. I don't know if they're pig transplants, but yeah. What was that word? Transplantation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's also like xenomorphic something transplantation.
So those significant risks that they're only going to last so long, and so even this, it doesn't seem like that's a permanent solution. Maybe
it gives you a lot of time.
Oh yeah, right.
Way more time than like going and getting. I forget what it's called right now. But you can hook up to the machine and it does the filtering for you. And you get what is that called?
I don't know.
Sarah was doing it like every couple days. For the longest time.
Yes.
For
Sarah.
For her dad. Anyway,
it
filters your blood.
Yes.
The name
transfusion? No, not transfusion. What's the word?
I don't know.
Anyways.
I don't remember.
Gosh, Sarah, but you did a great job for a year and a half.
So amazing.
And I just...
She's such a servant, dude.
Oh, yeah.
For real.
Absolutely. And I just think, you know, like the goal, we've talked about this before, it's been a minute, but the goal isn't to just, hey, prolong your life, you know, but it's like the more days you have, it's like, hey, make them count. You know, if that's just with your family, your friends, loved ones, those around you, strangers, you know, be on point, on mission. And sometimes it's like, okay, your platform's going to be different. Like I said, if it's just, you know, just friends, family, you know, but at the same time, man, you know, it's crazy that this is such a huge amount of people that are needing transplants. You know, so I could go all different ways. I was thinking about all the people that are waiting to adopt people. I don't know. That's where my mind goes. And, you know, the goal is, hey, like life and life abundantly with Jesus. And it's like, man, there are people that want help. There are people that are wanting to help, you know? And so, but yeah, it's a cool solution there. You know, it's like, man, using, you know, like I was gonna say our pigs for great reasons, but anyways, it's an awesome thing. I think it's cool to see how science is flourishing and man, like I would never have thought, you know, it's like, okay, pigs are really close in our anatomy, like to our anatomy, but at the same time, it's like, it's pretty wild that we're able to do this.
It's crazy.
And the next and last article that we have is in Liverpool, right, in England, it's building the world's largest tidal power plant to power 1 million homes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just think, one scripture that I was thinking of, and we see in scripture to not be lazy. There's a time to rest. There's a time to ponder. There's a time to, be in solitude. And it's with the Lord. But, like we see the hindrance, really the sin in being lazy, right? And so in Proverbs 15:19, the way of the lazy man is like a hedge of thorns, but the way of the upright is a highway, right? And so it weighs on you, right? It actually it causes destruction towards you when you're lazy, right? And if you have a hedge of thorns, that means it's going to affect other people too.
Right.
Right. And so the way of the upright is a highway, man. It's like, there's so much that can happen, when you're upright. I think of Psalm 84:11, where it talks about the Lord is a sun and a shield, right? He gives grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from those who walk uprightly. And so it's like the blessing. God blesses you, and being upright is just like, man, open, humble, active, and sometimes I think we just think like, oh, we need to just do things. And sometimes you should, right? Yeah. But it's like, man, just being willing, being open, being intentional. So it's so cool to see this. This is a huge, just mark in the books where it's like, okay, the world's largest tidal power plant. And I wonder what this,
engineering.
I wonder what's going to happen, like in the future with this. 1 million homes. When I saw like London, I always thought it was big, but the population is huge too. Like there's a ton of people in England. I don't know if you like realize that. But it's like, I don't even know how many million people we have in the US.
Like just under 400 or maybe around 400 now.
400 million?
Yeah.
It's so nuts when you think about it.
But our population density is nothing like theirs.
Okay.
They're like wildly more densely populated. That's also probably why they don't like to, they think like a 4-hour drive is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we're like 4 hours. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, a 4-hour drive in Texas is not that big of a deal. I feel like
it's not even that big a deal here.
It isn't, but it's like, where are you traveling 4 hours? Like to Bend?
Yeah, Bend.
Maybe that's not even that far. Like I feel like Oregon's kind of nice, unless you're going to like Eastern Oregon, which no one goes to Eastern Oregon. I feel like,
but that's because my wife's from Idaho.
East side does, folks.
We don't go. I haven't gone much in the last couple of years, though.
Okay. Yeah.
But we used to go.
Yeah. Well,
we're gonna go again this year, I think. Actually, because she wants to see her grandpa.
Okay. Cool.
And he's not coming over this year, I don't think.
That dog.
What?
Just kidding,
bro. Whatever.
No, that's cool though, because
I've
known people that like have lived there or live there. I mean, Jay, was living there for a little bit. But I just think, I just the mindset there. But really, I think this, I don't know, is it something that we could have here? What do you think?
What, a title thing? I'm like, yeah, but
will we though?
No.
Yeah.
We won't. Because
England did it first.
No,
I'm kidding.
I think the problem is like we'll just get mired in a ton of like competing interests.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I
could be wrong. Like there are like like on a low level stuff. Like as long as you don't do something super big, then you can.
Right.
Like in Hawaii.
Well, and that's what they're talking about is the scale, the size, like determines a lot.
There's a type of power plant called an OTEC, which is ocean thermal energy conversion, which is not on tidal power at all. Yeah. But essentially it's a turbine.
Okay.
Not a turbo. That's a different thing. But
It's turbo time.
So basically,
What is that from?
What?
It's Turbo Time.
Oh,
Jingle
Mighty
all the
Morphin?
way. Jingle all the way. Sorry.
Okay.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sorry.
Dude.
That's just where my mind goes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good job. No, I was slow on my movie reference.
No, I was like, God.
But basically, it's a big, huge pipe.
Yeah.
Right? Big, huge pipe, big, wide pipe, and it goes all the way down to. And they have it in Hawaii. I don't know if they have any others anywhere.
Yeah.
But it takes cold water from the ocean, deep ocean.
Yeah.
Right. And then the warm water. So engines usually work on the kind of motors that we run on, not electric motors, like thermal motors, which is like your internal combustion engines and other things.
Yeah, yeah.
They run on temperature differences.
Okay.
Right. So essentially, we're using the temperature difference to move the fan.
Mm-hmm.
Big, huge turbine. Right. And that generates electricity.
Yeah.
Right.
Gosh.
And so, as a huge fan, and I'm probably not explaining it perfectly.
I thought you were talking about like you're a huge fan of it.
Oh, no, actually, yeah.
I think it's
actually
rad.
the benefit, one of the benefits of it, and I don't know, like, I mean, there could be problems with it too.
Right.
But one of the benefits of it is it causes an upwelling zone, which, if you know anything about Newport, and the reason like we're cold and we're not, okay, we're like not that different of a
region
than some other places on the planet that are much warmer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ocean here has an upwelling zone. So it like comes up from like, and San Francisco is a better example because they should be warm. Right.
Yeah.
But because there's an upwelling zone and a bunch of like cold water from the deep, and it has like nutrition.
Okay.
Because of all the sunken like plants and animals, phytoplankton and whatnot.
Specifically
like
there, right by San Francisco.
Yeah, it comes up into the bay.
Yeah.
Right. And the surrounding area.
Okay.
It goes up, and then like it's naturally going to be colder because like it's a giant heat sink.
Yeah.
Right. And, but it also brings out all this extra nutrition and it feeds all the animals there.
Yeah.
Like it'd be a huge amount of, wildlife.
Yeah.
Like way more is supported.
Wow.
When you don't have upwelling, like the center of the ocean has nothing in it.
Right. Right.
Like away from land.
Yeah.
Like in the deep water.
I've heard that.
There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
There's no fish.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
wild.
like, it's kind of a trip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, just even
Most of it's a desert.
yeah. Just to
essentially.
think of like what hasn't been explored.
Right.
When just like just so vast. But I think it's cool to see this technology because we have wind, we have solar energy.
Yeah.
This is multi-billion-dollar ordeal.
Yeah,
and so it's like
a multi-billion.
a million homes, but at the same time, it's like, is this going to be effective? And we brought that up before. And it's not that we just want to bring up things and be like, is it going to be effective? We don't know. But it's just so cool to see how technology advancements are still being made. Is this way, is this power plant, this, way of, technology advancement, is it going to be reliable? We don't know, but I think you can be obsessed. I'm not saying this is the case here, but you can be obsessed with always learning new information, always trying new things.
Start doing stuff too.
Yeah, and it can
There's gotta be a balance there.
It can be good, but it's like at the same time, like you don't have to keep on. I think of ministry, right? I think of church, and if we were just, obsessed or just so eager to start new ministries, but then the ones that we have aren't effective or useful or beneficial. Whatever.
They're just dying on the vine.
Yeah. It's like, okay, hold on. Like hold it on. Like this may not be the best time.
Let's do
this
what
may
we
not
do
be
well.
used for our church really well. So
there's wisdom right there.
Yeah. And so I think it's cool, and you never know. But I think, like always going back, like, is this, effective? Is this going to be good? Good for the body? Is this going to glorify God? Like for them, I think it can, it can be, it's used to power different homes. It's like, man, loving people, sharing. But anyways, I think, just, in closing, we've gotten to talk about, just these areas, right? Where Tennessee, the governor's standing up for the people there, right? And protecting them, right? We have the pygmies, right? The pig kidneys, being transplanted. And
I'm going to go back and see if I probably did say that.
Yeah, no, you're good. But we really haven't brought up, particular people, but, that like, hey, we need to pray for that they're going through stuff today, but it's like, that's okay. And I think, man, like if you're out there and, this is maybe touched your heart in some way, if it's something that you identify as, with, man, but it's like, there's so many of these little stories that it's like, okay, we can draw out, just the need for Jesus, or just even as us as people, like, okay, like for sure. I see that AI can be a problem. Can it be a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, some of these things can even be distractions, or they can grab our attention, like I mean, so much where it's like, okay, I think technology, I think of, just even like with the pig kidneys, it's like, I don't know. I just think we can, these can be good things, but they can, have us gravitate towards them so much where it's like, oh, well, there's technology, there's this. Yeah. So anyways, I just want to bring
lots of consequences.
Yeah. And
potentially.
And just, I'm going to read Proverbs 15:19 one more time. And then, we're going to pray, but, you got anything, Esau, you want to add anything?
No, I think this was great.
Yeah. So, the way of the lazy man is like a hedge of thorns, but the way of the upright is a highway. And Lord, we just thank you for just this podcast, God, and really we thank you for your provision, God, in us. And Lord, I pray for anybody that really needs an extra nudge from your Spirit, maybe just encouragement, Lord. Maybe, God, somebody is just stuck in their own ways, as we all tend to do and get that way. But Lord, I thank you that you pull us out of just those places where, man, we can be selfish, we can be stuck, we can maybe even just be gravitated towards the new thing, the new technology, the new way of thinking. And Lord, I just pray that we would just be touched by your Spirit, by your heart, and encourage us. May we not be lazy. May we see, Lord, that you're behind it all. Lord, that you give us breath in our lungs to think for ourselves. You, Lord, love everyone in this world, even if they're honoring you or not. But Lord, may we walk uprightly. May we have our focus on you. And so I pray that over everyone listening and over Esai and me. And we love you, Jesus. Help us to just love you more. But it's really by your love. In your precious name we pray. Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Wisdom in all things.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. This is Christ and Culture. Love y'all. Bye.